people, I ain't got it all figured out. I don't. I ain't finna be like some of these preachers that's figured out like I got it right. I hope I don't get it right all the way, because then pride comes in the way. When you think you got it all figured out, I'm gonna tell you something. As soon as you think you got it all figured out, the Lord will throw something at you. I always look at what Paul said. God has given me a thorn in the flesh. So he'll never feel like he's perfect or like I understand everything perfectly. I got this. I'm good now. Because one thing about following Christ is an everyday learning experience. You learn different things. A few weeks ago, I was talking about a certain person, and I opened up the Bible. The Lord said, "How you gonna do this?" What? I was like, wow, he rebuked me. And it's like, I ain't had a rebuke like that in so long that it was like, it hit me like a brick. I cried. I was like, whoa. I turned straight to it. And I cried behind it. But I'm glad he rebuked me, because I would have never knew there was nothing wrong with it. If he wouldn't have chastised me about it, I would have thought it was okay. But it wasn't okay. And a lot of things that we do, we think okay, but ain't. You know, I tell people all the time I complain. You know, I do. You know, it's not really a complaining, but it's like when I'm going through things, I go to God with it. I try not to complain too much with people, because people can't help me. I did a video about trust yesterday. The biggest issue we got is trusting in people. But the thing is, we got to be careful what we say to God. He's listening to everything that comes out of our mouth. And then he's looking at our heart at the same time. And he's trying to make your heart right with him. He's slow to anger. But think about the people in Egypt. They would see calamity upon calamity. They saw all the things that happened in Egypt. Then they saw things that happened to people that left Egypt. And they still kept doing the same thing. You know, I warn people all the time, because I've been warned thousands of times by the Lord. I love Psalm 32. Pardon the man whose sin is covered, whose sin is forgiven. He said, I made my request known to the Lord. He forgave me of my sin. Y'all better pay attention to words like that. You know, I know God is slow to anger, but he does get angry. Think about it, 40 years in the wilderness. They really ain't give us a time frame of when this happened or when that happened. It's just written in the book that way. But think about it. 40 years in the wilderness, there's no way 40 years was covered completely in the book. They just tell you certain things. So you may look at it like it happened back to back to back to back. It might have been spread it out. 40-year period. Now think about this. If we're lucky, we can live to be 110 years old, 120, or even a little bit longer. There are people been living a long life lately. But the Bible says this. Some people's days are shortened because of evil or because of how good they are. And some people's days are extended because of how good they are or how wicked they are. But God knows. Sometimes he may give people more chances because he want them to live a little longer so they can finally recognize their evil ways and turn to them before they leave this place. Some people don't get that chance because God sees different from us. I know y'all looking at, why does God take some people away? Well, let's go back to Ecclesiastes. There's a time to live, there's a time to die. There's a time to live, there's a laugh, there's a time to cry. There's a time to gather stones, a time to cast away stones. There's so many times in this thing. But let's go back to the story. A lot of us looking at our paths like, look how things better were, how things were. My first divorce, that's what I used to hear. You ain't like you used to be. I wish you was like you used to be. My second separation, you changed. You ain't like you used to be. I'm going to stay changing. As long as I live for God and call on him, I'm not going to be the same person I was yesterday. Glory be to God. I'm supposed to stay changing. What am I supposed to do? Stunt my growth? because of certain people, because I want you to catch up with me. So the thing is, I might fall backwards, and I don't want to fall backwards no more. I'm gonna keep growing. The Lord had chastised me so many times. I've been burned with fire. I done been in a tempest before, a windstorm, when all the windows was knocked out, car wreck, all kind of stuff. You know, one thing I pray, and you should too, Lord, let me fulfill my purpose and get right with you before I leave here. I'm not trying to get right with people. I'm trying to get right with you. I'm trying to be humble by the Lord. There's a lot of things I pray for. Like I want to lose weight. You know, sometimes somebody told me this at the beginning of the year. It was a random person. It was like, be in good health. I'm like, what? So I got to start looking at my health. This too. You understand? Even though I know it ain't what goes in that defiles you. You understand? I know that. I know this may can kill me, but it can't kill my soul. But I look at the word from a different perspective than most. The world will tell you to stop doing this and stop doing that. But let's take cigarettes, for example. They wanted to make something better than cigarettes, so they made the vapes. And vapes kill more people than cigarettes. You might as well smoke if you're gonna vape. I'm just being real. You know, I live in this real world, and I see things and I pay attention to certain things. You understand? The world don't know what's best for us. The world don't know how you're gonna live or you're gonna die. I know people who have ate healthy, never smoked a cigarette a day in their life, never drunk a beer in their life, died from cancer at 40-some years old. You understand? It is what it is. You know, people always try to tell you these things. The only way you know how to get healthy is through him. He know what's best for you. He know your body better than yours. He know what you can handle and what you can't. You know, I ain't told too many people this story. Years ago, probably about 4 years ago, I was working hard. I was in the best health of my life, almost. But I think I was drinking energy drinks a lot. And I think I had a minor kind of stroke, like my memory got bad. You know what I'm saying? But nothing really happened. And I was like, Lord, I need to go to the doctor. He was like, nah, I'll tell you what to do. He took energy drinks from me. An energy drink. You know, I was like, so okay then. I still drank them, but not as much. Every once in a while. I don't buy them on a daily basis. I had a friend years ago. You know, he had lost a lot of weight. He was getting healthy. You understand? He was one of my closest friends. I ain't had a close friend in a long time, but he was. You know what I'm saying? And we used to talk and commune, talk about God a lot and all that. And he used to drink about 3 energy drinks or clunk juices a day. And then one day he left the job and he died. You know what I'm saying? And I had told him, I said, man, you need to stop drinking so many. And this the thing is, as I told him that, I started doing it. And then I felt something in my body. I'm like, oh, something ain't right here. I was driving back from a job. It was that quick. The Lord showed me, hey, that's enough. One thing about the Lord, he'll tell you when enough is enough. You see, we trust in so many things to sustain us. Take the people in the wilderness. He gave them manna, and that gave them just enough. But what happened? Let me pause and I will continue.